and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming and today's movie review. Today we're going to be reviewing a movie called They Live. They Live is a 1988 movie that stars a wrestler, actually. Now he wasn't the first wrestler to ever be put in shows, that's for sure. I mean, we had Hulk Hogan, we've had Gravedigger, we've had several shows with different wrestlers in them as actors. Hulk Hogan, I mean, there's been a lot of them. This one was a science fiction show that was depicting an alien race that had come to Earth in an effort to not necessarily conquer the planet, but to certainly assimilate the planet into their ideology, their belief structure, their way of doing things. Sound familiar? If it does, then you've been paying attention. This show, quite literally, predicted what these companies would do with the power that they've been given. And it's not that they've been given it, with the power that they've learned. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. A long time ago, movie theaters used subliminal messaging, which is basically just a message that was sped up way faster than you could hear it, but your brain could understand it. And your brain would hear that message being repeated over and over and over and over and over. And as a result, there were several people who were susceptible to this form of manipulation. And, they would find themselves in a movie theater and all of a sudden they want popcorn and, soda pop and candy. And it was literally because the music that they were listening to in the background was telling them to buy these things. Now, that practice in and of itself was made illegal when it was found out what they were doing. But the law is so specific that it only covers that specific kind of manipulation. And that was deliberate. Don't fool yourselves. They could have easily made a law that would have blanketly covered any type of psychological manipulation, brainwashing tactics used by any company. But they didn't want to. They only wanted to illegalize the one form that had been identified and being used. And that's all they illegalized. Today, it's much worse, people. Much worse. When you turn on your news, all those pretty flashy lights and the spinny wheels and everything when your news comes on, that is a manipulation. That music set to that image is specifically designed to put the majority of you into a lethargic state where you will be more willing to accept whatever is stated afterwards. It's still brainwashing. It's still manipulation. And they absolutely know that they're doing it. And it's not just on the news. It's in your magazines. There are phrases within your magazines that lean heavily to the left, to their insane ideology and their belief structure. When you watch movies, it's the same thing. When you go out to eat dinner, that messaging is in and within the restaurant. Everything from the music selection that they have you listening to in the background to the words chosen within the menu itself. Now I know that sounds crazy. And I know that, if you look for it, you'll see it everywhere. I get that. But what I'm trying to explain to you at this point isn't about looking for it. It is everywhere. And it is being used against you. From every angle. From your news to your entertainment. It's in video games, movies, TV, magazines, books. You name it. It's in everything. And these people have gone so far that the books that they deem unacceptable, they just don't print them anymore. Dr. Seuss is a prime example of this. These people got the printing company that printed the books to stop printing them. That's worse than burning. Truly. And it's much more effective. You're not just burning the books that were created and they can just create more. No, they have literally shut down the creation of said books. And that's not the only one. There are thousands on that list that will no longer be printed because of these people's insanity. And that is what the movie They Live warned about. It was absolutely a warning against this type of manipulation, against this type of societal brainwashing. It's called social engineering. I mean, there's literally an entire subject of study which you can get a degree for in college. And it basically amounts to how can you adjust, I love that word, adjust the populace to alter their belief structures. Yeah, it's called social engineering. They've been teaching it for years. It's in psychology. Now here's an interesting little thing that I found. The Tatometer says that the mainstream reviewers give it an 85%. And you would think that means that they like it. This too is a manipulation. This not very long ago was sitting at like 35%. And just recently jumped up to 85%. And it's because of people like me who've been calling this out. Some of them for years. It doesn't change the fact that even though they altered their scores here on Rotten Tomatoes, they did not alter their actual reviews, which are nothing but despising of this show. They Live, John Carpenter's action flick, needs to be saved from neo-Nazis. Because of course it does. John Carpenter's They Live was supposed to be a warning. We didn't heed it. We didn't even understand it. Oh no. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is a scathing review that blames everything on Trump. Who would have guessed, right? They Live, the weird movie with a powerful message. If you read this, oh my god, it is nothing even close to what the movie is about. Not even close. They try uh, I'll read it. They Live is a sci-fi movie with the 80s. Is a sci-fi movie from the 80s that features aliens, a WWF wrestler, and a whole lot of sunglasses. What's not to like? While at first glance the movie appears to be a bunch of nonsense, They Live actually communicates a powerful message about the elite and its use of mass media to control the masses. Is the movie describing what we call the Illuminati? This article looks at the deeper meaning of John Carpenter's strange but fascinating movie, They Live. And yes, they sit there and bash it and try to associate it to every conspiracy theory you could describe or come up with. They hated it. And that's just the reality of the world we live in today. Anything that teaches you to think critically, which is what this movie does, it tries to teach you how to critically think about the world around you and what's going on, to read between the lines and see what they're actually telling you. It takes a little bit of thought, it takes a little bit of forethought, and it takes somebody who's willing to put aside their biases and break down the words that are used to reveal what they're actually trying to tell you. And this particular movie, while though it doesn't do the best job of conveying that, it does a good enough job that you can get the idea. And because you can get the idea, they hate it with a passion. So, yeah. Did I like They Live? Absolutely. It was one of my favorite sci-fi action shows that I recently watched again. Um, Absolutely a good time. It was made to be entertaining, while at the same time tries to teach you what's happening in the world around you. And no, it has nothing to do with aliens, but it certainly has a lot to do with people who do not care about you, and in fact, they seem to hate you. Well, that's my rant for the day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of yours.